welcome back to Life on the Wrist. Hope you're doing well. So I was watching Mad Men. If you don't know the show, it is a show about that follows Don Draper, who works at an advertising agency back in the 60s and 60s and 70s, and it basically just follows his life throughout his advertising career. It's a very interesting TV show, and one of the things that obviously is very iconic within the watch industry is the connection between movies and watches. So I thought I would talk about one of the watches that is seen on the show. This one worn specifically by one of the characters named Roger Sterling. Roger Sterling is a partner at one of the advertising agencies, or at the advertising agencies that Don Draper works at. He became very close friends with Don, and he wears a very interesting watch. So thought I would discuss that watch with you today. But before I get into that, if you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Welcome to Life on the Wrist. We create videos about watches, just about any topic that you can think of. That's what we create. Topic within watches, we create videos about them, so be sure to check out our other videos. And if you haven't already, and I say this every single time, so it should be automatic. As soon as you click on the video, you should be hitting that like button. It really does help us out with YouTube algorithm, so be sure to do that. So if you haven't done that, be sure to do that. So back to the topic. Roger Sterling, like I said, is a character within Mad Men. He's a partner at the advertising agencies that Don works at, and ultimately becomes a very close friend of Don's. Roger Sterling comes from a family of wealth, ultimately. His father was a partner at the advertising agency previously, and Roger kind of moved into taking over his position when his father passed away. Burt Cooper, who was one of the other characters on Mad Men, was the partner with Roger's father, and then ultimately Roger became a huge icon with Burt Cooper in the advertising agencies. So the watch that was worn by Roger Sterling appeared mostly in season 5 and 6, and this watch was a Tudor Oyster Price with a Tuxedo dial. So if you aren't familiar, Tudor is obviously it was a subset of Rolex, but they've really come onto their own in recent years. Tudor Oyster Price is a very simple time-only watch, and a Tuxedo dial is a watch that has a black and white, or black and cream, or black and silver dial. I'll be sure to put pictures up of the watch. It's a little bit more of a formal piece with that type of dial. It's something that you would only probably wear to black tie events. However, you can ultimately wear it whenever you want nowadays. So Tuxedo dials are very, very cool. You don't see them very often, but definitely something that's very interesting to look at. Obviously, it's a Tudor Oyster Price, so it's going to be a waterproof case, probably a screw-down crown. So just a few more nuances on that watch. It looks very much like a Universal Genève pull router with a Tuxedo dial. Pull routers are, in my opinion, some of the best value that you can possibly get within the watch industry. So having a Tudor that looks similar to it is very, very cool. The design of the watch is extremely classic. It's actually a really nice size. I think it's around 34 millimeters, but don't quote me on this. I don't actually know the specific reference of it, but I do know that there was a company that was approached to basically outfit the show Mad Men with the watches that the individuals wore. So what a cool thing to do for a TV show, especially one that is Mad Men. So very classic design, fits really well on his wrist, and obviously, like I said, is waterproof, comes with a screw down crown. I think what's really cool about this watch is the fact that the design of the watch really matches the lifestyle and the style of Roger. Roger is he's a very elegant guy. He's a very kind of, suave, sophisticated guy who, wears three-piece suits with tie bars, and wears pinky rings for his family. And I think the watch very kind of resembles that. He was also in I believe he was in the Navy. So kind of that sporty aspect of the fact that it's an Oyster Price. I think that kind of plays into the fact that he was in the Navy. He's still a guy who doesn't mind getting, stuck in the mud or anything like that. But that Tuxedo dial really kind of matches his, a little bit more of his elegant side, his three-piece suit kind of guy. So I think the watch was really well chosen in the fact that it was a sports watch, but had that, kind of classic, very kind of formal wear side to it. And I think that's a perfect combination in order for to outfit Roger with that type of watch. I think is really, really well done. So the watch overall, I think, comes from a brand in Tudor that has come into its own recently. They've kind of tried to separate themselves from Rolex a little bit more, because during previous years, Tudor has been kind of, it's always the sister brand, the cheaper Rolex, the, you know, that those types of words are being spoken about Tudor, and it wasn't really thought of as its own brand. It was a subset of Rolex. But with the recent kind of line in the, you know, the Tudor Black Bays, and I think the Pelagos was kind of that first kind of step in the direction of where our own you know, sports watch sports watch company. I think that was a really great kind of step for them, and I think perhaps that was also kind of put forward with when it came to you know, let's have a brand that is doing its own thing. And I think Roger, you know, he was originally a partner of Sterling Cooper, which was Burt Cooper's and his father's company, but they were then, you know, acquired, and there's some things that happened with that company. I don't want to spoil it too much, but he ended up starting his own company and kind of taking his first foray into doing things himself. And I think perhaps that was, maybe it's just me connecting dots that really shouldn't be connected, but I think that was a cool combination of, you know, he's taking a step in the right direction. Tudor also kind of ended up taking a step in the right direction as well. I think what's really cool at this too, and you know, obviously I'm not going to say Mad Men was the reason why Tudor really, the vintage Tudor market really blew up, but there's no doubt that it definitely added to the fact that it blew up. And it could be, you know, 0.5% of the reason why it blew up, but definitely was a factor in it, because people were seeing, you know, these types of people wearing it. So vintage Tudor has really come into its own as well. I think it was mostly because it became an alternative that was not as expensive as some of the other vintage watches that people were interested in purchasing. They could find that in Tudor. So I think that was an interesting kind of, you know, step in the right direction for them. So I think the Tudor Oyster Princes have skyrocketed in value, at least within the past, you know, 10 years for sure. And if you're looking for something like a Tuxedo dial Oyster Prince, it's going to be very, very difficult to find. I actually did a little bit of research just to see if I could find a watch that was being sold that looked like Roger Sterling's watch. It's actually extremely hard to find it. I remember there was actually a Mad Men exhibit where they had some of the watches that some of the people wore, and I know they had Don Draper's, I think it was an Explorer, being showcased there, and I think Roger Sterling's was also there. So those watches kind of went on tour, and what I think is cool is, yes, it has the story within the show, so Roger Sterling wore that watch, but it also has a story outside of the show, kind of in reality, where people are like, oh wow, that was the watch that, you know, Roger Sterling wore on the show, and that almost went on tour. And I wonder first, I wonder where that watch is now, but I also wonder, will it ever be sold? Do you think it will command a premium similar to other famous people's watches that have sold at auction? It'd be interesting to follow the watch and see the journey of it. I think Roger Sterling's one of my favorite characters. I think he's really, really funny on the show. I think you can also learn a lot from him, and I really like his style, so that also kind of adds to it. So that's why I decided to choose his watch as the first one. So I think I'm going to do this more. I'm going to kind of discuss watches that were seen on TV shows. Obviously I started with Roger Sterling. I'll probably do some more of the watches that were seen in Mad Men, just because I'm still on that topic, but I'll probably go in the direction of other shows or movies. So look forward to that if you're interested in that. If there's a watch on a show that you want me to cover immediately, be sure to let me know in the comments section below. And if you have made it this far and you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. It really does help us out with the YouTube algorithm. We've grown so much over the past couple weeks and months, and want to just continue that to provide you guys with some excellent content that you guys want to see. So be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're interested in that. If you are new to the channel, we do run a vintage watch shop. We are currently selling a Girard-Perregaux Seahawk in the store. It is in impeccable condition, stainless steel case, beautiful patina on the dial. It comes with its watch box as well, which is also in great condition. So be sure to check it out. It really is, I think, the epitome of vintage stainless steel watches. It's a beautiful size, beautiful dial. The numbers are just absolutely incredible. You just do me a favor, go to the description, hit the link to our shop, and definitely check it out. Even if you aren't interested in purchasing it, it's something that you have to see. So be sure to do that as well. And with that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time.